Throughout my life, I've known some people that were really negative and complained a lot and just weren't fun to be around. And after a while, you just stop wanting to be around these people because they just bring down the mood and just they're not enjoyable to be around. I knew this girl in college who fit this description. She was always talking bad about people or complaining or negative, and after a while, a lot of people just didn't enjoy being around her, didn't want to be friends with her because of this reason. In Exodus 16, we read about the Israelites and how they're always complaining, and no matter what God did for them, no matter what miracle God worked, they always found something to complain about and always grumbling, and just nothing was ever good enough. And this resulted in them taking longer to get to the promised land because God was always just solving their problems and they were never happy. Contrast this to Paul's attitude. For example, in Exodus 16, starting in verse 16, we read about Paul and Silas in prison. And even after all this torture and beating they were going through, they were singing and praising God, even in that terrible circumstance. If anyone, they had a lot to complain about, but they chose not to. They chose to praise God and still look to the bright side in their situation and just praise God for that opportunity to witness. And even in this terrible situation, they still chose to be positive and praise God and sing and praise. In fact, I can't think of many situations that Paul was grumpy and upset. He always seemed to have that attitude of being grateful and using the examples and the situations he was in to praise God and just glorify Him no matter what. And look at the result. He was one of the main founders of the Christian church. He started so many churches. He nurtured the churches. He wrote many of the books of the Bible. And it really paid off. Now, that might have not been the whole reason, but I do believe that played a big part, and God used him in his willingness to serve Him so joyfully and with praise and not complaining. In Proverbs 17:22, it says, "A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a broken spirit saps strength." So I feel like this is just a calling. When we compare these two stories, we can see that Paul having a positive attitude just really boosted his work for God and was able to do so many great things, versus the Israelites were always complaining and just it really held them back, and they're always grumpy and just. So let's remember to always have a cheerful heart and a positive attitude and be like a good medicine and lift up those around us and just praise God in any situation that we can. And even if we're in an unfortunate situation like Paul in prison, we can still find a way to praise God and glorify Him.